Dr. Howard Cohn from the Cohn Health Institute, the Biostacking Summit, as well as Cohn Nutrition.
Awesome. And you've got a story to share with us today. Where in this world does that story begin?
Well, the story begins at the end of chiropractic school. I had already done a bunch of different things outside the box, preparing myself to what I would call crush it in practice. And then we were doing these physically, nutritionally, emotionally. And then I had a mentor of mine come up to me and he said, there's this new technique. It's called Neuro Emotional Technique. And I think you need to go learn it. And this guy was that kind of guy in my life where if he said it, you do it, because everything he touched turned to gold. And he had just a mission, a passion, and people loved him because of what and who he was in their lives. And he was right. I met a guy named Dr. Scott Walker. He created this technique called Neuro Emotional Technique. And my biggest thing was the distinction. The distinction was, people always say, practice makes perfect. In reality, what I learned through this world in NET was that practice doesn't do that, but practice makes permanent. Meaning if you're doing the wrong thing over and over again, you're going to get that same result. And unless you have that certain instruction and it's shown how to do something properly, you're going to just be banging your head against the wall. And then it went to another level. This was the aha moment. The aha moment was that there's two kinds of ways to look at solving a problem, moving forward in your life, or really taking anything to the next level. There's two parts. One is the how to, and one is the who do. The how to is like, okay, let's say I want to learn how to play golf. Now I'm going to take 100 lessons. Okay. Take 100 lessons. I know enough how to. I know how to drive the ball. I know how to chip it. I know how to putt. I know how to troubleshoot. I know how to play the wind, all the different things. And then there's the who do, which is us. Who does? It's us with all our filters that have come up from power that we've given away to mother, father, teacher, preacher, anywhere along the way where we thought we weren't enough, we weren't good enough, we weren't smart enough, we weren't something enough. And it turns out what's the difference between someone who's successful and someone who's a champion is that next level of understanding that it's not always just learning more. It's not always just knowing more. It's removing the filters and the blocks that get in the way of realizing that we could do anything, have anything, and be anything. So after working with thousands of athletes, executives looking to take their companies to the next level, or people just looking to do the most important thing, which is recover their health when they've lost it. Because as they say, we all have lots of problems and things on our mind until you have a health problem. Then you have one thing on your mind, and everyone around you has that same thing on their mind. So it's one of those things, if you don't pay it now, you're going to pay it later. NET, Neuro Emotional Technique, is a way that we've worked in our office, the Cohn Health Institute. We have more certified practitioners of this art, this healing art, than anywhere in the world. I met my wife at an NET success seminar. She's a practitioner. It's a gift that keeps giving. And there's a saying called, you don't know what you don't know till you find out you didn't know it. Healing can happen in an instant. What I love most about NET is that it really takes the 5,000 years of Chinese medicine and the observations of Ivan Pavlov, the conditioned responses that we all have growing up, puts them together and makes it user-friendly. So when people get it done, they say it's like 6 months of therapy in a minute. Now, it's not therapy, but it highlights how smart your body is, how it's designed to heal itself. And we just don't know what's going on until we look. How emotions work is what you don't express, you'll repress till it expresses as disease or dysfunction. Like Woody Allen used to say, I never get angry, I just grow a tumor. Meaning if I don't get my crap out, it stays in until it comes out as something ugly, either a health problem or a behavioral thing that's not making my life work out the way it is. So having those distinctions, knowing in the moment that if I'm reacting to something, it's usually not what's going on in the moment. It's usually something that happened when I was 2 or 5 or 12, whatever. And the consciousness has really helped expand our practice, has helped expand to a global footprint, our nutritional imprint with Cohn Nutrition, the Biostacking Summit, where we highlight other doctors doing things like this as well around the world, to know that anything is possible, and we're capable of the most amazing things if these things are awakened to and addressed. So it's that aha moment that I had that's led to the aha moments of tens of thousands of people, probably hundreds of thousands at this point.
Wow. So I've got a bunch of questions for you. I remember I was in this cool cat, Eric Butler's house in like 2021, and he took me through this process where he helped me kind of meditate and drop into an alpha state. And then he was rifling through my childhood, and he had me imagine a young version of myself. And whatever came up was that time. I was able to identify that period. And he had me like sit in my parents' lap and look at them and feel the emotions that I was having in those moments, and like really drop into the area that I was in and try and just feel it as
Yeah.
a little. And mine, I was 2 in the first time that I did it with him, and I was 5 in the second one that I did with him. And in both instances, I was sitting with my dear old dad, who, I'm a youngest kid. It's probably my fault and his father's fault. I don't know. We've been working on it for a long time.
Right.
But this meditation that I did, man, I was just bawling by the end of it. It missed a little bit of therefore what, right? I had this emotional experience, and the debrief on it was a little bit of like, I want you to meditate often about that experience and just try and drop back into it as often as you can. But there was no real mechanism on how to resolve it.
Right.
And so I'm curious, it sounds like he was introducing me to something that was like kind of at the tip of the iceberg of NET, but wasn't getting into the icy, juicy middle part of it. And so I'm
Correct.
curious how that experience and meditation compares to NET, and how you would instruct somebody that has gone through that experience to actually clear and get to the hoodoo, right? And get out of that and get over that block. And then what is the difference between what I went through and the NET, just in terms of process, how you actually are interacting with your patients to help them resolve these things so that they overcome that peak and get to the next level?
So the difference is it happens in an instant. So your mind and your body are the same thing. It's not some new agey kind of statement. If you alter your mind, it's going to alter your body. If you alter your body, it's going to alter your mind. It happens in an instant. And so these are arrested stage of developments that are playing like a broken record unbeknownst to us. And we're constantly being triggered by everyone and everything around it. So what we are doing differently is very visceral. It's not dependent on you remembering it properly. You're correct where the most important thing is the feeling. Have to get in the feeling mode, because picture's worth 1,000 words. It's how did it make us feel that really mattered. So we're putting the body in the physiology. So what we're doing is using traditional functional muscle testing, like we're testing to see how strong a muscle is. You touch all these different meridian acupuncture points and you find a weak spot. So you can find, let's say someone's, they've hurt their shoulder and they've been to 20 doctors and no one's helped their shoulder. And so we would have them touch their shoulder, we go weak. And then we go like this, and they touch these 2 reflex points are here, which are emotional reflex points. They tell us about what's going on in our body, like stress response wise. There's the science behind it, the neurovascular reflex points. In any event, you do this and it makes it strong. It lets us know that there's an emotional relationship. But what that does is it pulls up on a computer, like you hit a link to open up a computer. Now I'm back whenever that was, 2 or 5 or 12. Actually, when you first do it, you're at the feeling of now. And then it's like really semantic. You're talking to the body. It looks like magic. I've demoed it every week for 30 years, and we would take people out of the audience who have been everywhere, done everything. We'd change them on the spot in front of crowds of people, and everybody lines up and signs up. We've been doing that forever because it's that fast and it's that visceral. And so we would take them back to what happened when we were 2 or 5 or 12, whatever it is. And as soon as I say the year, 9 out of 10 times it pops right in the head where they were, what they were doing, and what was happening. Once they get that picture, they're connecting these emotional reflex points to either an acupuncture meridian or somewhere. Let's say that emotion was in their lungs, so they're holding their lung reflex points. They take 3 deep breaths in and out. They're thinking about the event, and I'm tapping or using an instrument and hitting those 3 spots on their spine, because it's a chiropractic, believe it or not, of all people discovered it, along their spine, and it's instant. It is reset. Once, different than any other thing we do, and we do a lot of things in these clinics and things we do. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's never going to come back. Now, the memory is still there, but the effect it's having on your body is not. And that is the sweet spot. You can delete a file and it's in a deleted folder. Now, it's still there if you want to look at it and delete it, but you're never going to look in your deleted folder. We barely even check our junk to see if we missed an important email. So once it's out, it's out. You're not triggered again. We know it all the time because, like, when we were a kid, we're playing wiffle ball hits us in the face. Next thing, they throw the ball, and now I'm flinchy. Did I tell myself to be flinchy? No, it's a survival mechanism. If I'm walking in the kitchen, I touch the hot stove because I saw it as a pretty red light. Now, pretty red lights are bad. A week later, I'm walking in the kitchen. There's no stove on, but there's a red pot holder out, and I pulled away. Why did I do that? Phobias are the same way. It's all the same mechanism. And so we use it to kind of figure that out. So people come in with somatic issues, but they also come in with certain things. I used to, many years ago, lecture for a direct sales company. Why? Is because I had a patient that was stuck at a certain level. They never got higher. They never made more than $4,000 a month or for whatever, what they were doing in their sales. This was in the 90s. I cleared the guy out. Everything was the same. Went all the same trainings. All the how-to was the same. The difference was the who-do. Went out and made 10 grand the next month. Then 1,400 new patients came in. I was a solo practitioner, and the rest is history. So there's lots of ways in. We all have these things limiting us, these things that it's all predicated. Number one, your body never lies. Number two is emotions have no logic. If they were logic, we would just sit there and figure it out. But the most important distinction, Eric, when we do this is that it's not always historical fact. It's a perception of what we thought happened or what happened with you and your dad when we were 2 or 5 or 12. So it's not like admissible evidence in a court of law. Sometimes it's exactly what happened. It's what you think has happened. For example, let's say I show you a quarter, 25 cents, 25-cent piece. You're looking at heads, Eric. I'm looking at tails. I go, what do you see? And you go, I see an old dead president. I'm like, man, what's wrong with Eric? I see an eagle or whatever the hell they put on quarters these days. And then one of your friends is over there looking at both of us like we don't know what the hell's going on because they're looking at the ridges of the quarter. Now, is it safe to say that we all right to say we're looking at a quarter? Absolutely. Do we all see the same things? Absolutely not. It's impossible for a human being to have a 360 view about another human being, let alone themselves. So it makes politics, religion, the news so fascinating. How people get worked up. No, this is what happened. That's what you saw. Now that's what could have been happened, but you didn't see this part. And that changes the story. So life is like that. The last thing is the most important distinction when we do NET is that your mind doesn't know the difference between something that's real or something that someone suggested to you that was real. Very important when people get a diagnosis. For example, if I describe to you a lemon, I cut it in half, I show that pulpy part of that lemon. Eric, I say, stick your tongue out, you do it. I take the lemon, I rub it back on your tongue, and then I squeeze all that juice, and there's no juice left in the lemon. It's all sitting on top of your tongue. If you keep listening to me and you're thinking about what I'm saying, you're going to now have a tart taste in your mouth, which is an actual physiologic change to the human body. But there's no lemon in the room. There's just two guys talking. So when somebody goes to a doctor and they're guessing, because that's what a diagnosis is, di means two, agnosis means don't know. Two people don't know what's going on, you and your doctor, and they're going to give you a name of something and say, you got this. And now you're going to believe it. Now you're going to join the support group. Now you're going to Google it or talk to Grok, and it's going to tell you all the shit you're going to get now that's going to be wrong with you, and you create it. Would you have created it if you hadn't known? I don't know. Maybe not. And this, you mush all this together, it's every human being. They're coming in, they have physical issues, chemical issues, and they think it's really that way. And a lot of times it's just all in their head. Not like they're making it up, but there are tapes running. We got to cut that wire, and then the changes just happen. It's not for us to psychoanalyze and say, oh, this relationship should work out or you two should get divorced. Or all the promises is change. We're going to remove the interference. So when we're working with a couple, I tell them, I go, before you know, just so you know, you're going in eyes wide open. We're going to remove the baggage. So you're either going to be 10 times more intimate and you're going to go, or you're going to go, who the hell are you? And that's the end of the relationship. So always make sure everyone goes into it knowing ahead of time what they're going to do. I used to go into businesses a lot. I still do sometimes. And I treat a sales team. It's notoriously within 48 hours, some people are promoted, some are fired, some quit. You know, it's just crazy. You wouldn't believe it until you saw it. Yeah.
Wow. You alluded to some of the folks that you've worked with over the years. You know, we've got thousands of folks that have been through this process with you. Is there one that sticks out that was particularly impressive or intense that you can remember where you were able to find the emotional anchor that was causing them a great amount of pain, or maybe they were paralyzed or having diet issues and you were able to just pull it out with this process? Who comes to mind for you?
Well, a couple come to mind, but one, the kids are the best because kids are like open. They're wide open. Actually, it's between a kid and a dog. But I'm going to tell you the dog story. I'm going to tell you the dog story only because dogs are even better than kids. Dogs are better than humans because dogs are not skeptical. They're not worried how much it's going to cost. They're not worried if their insurance pays for it. And the most important thing is they do not respond to placebo. They don't know what it is. I did a health class, just finished up. Somebody in the health class was a trainer of seeing eye dogs. And there were all these different labs. One of the labs was about to flunk out of the program because it was scared to go up a stairs, not down a stairs, but up a stairs. If you tried to bring it up a stairs in its collar and leash, it would pull itself out of its collar as if you're about to throw it into burning fire. So something must have happened. So they go, hey, does it work on dogs? Now, disclaimer, I'm not a vet. We don't do this. It was just a fun little thing to see if it was going to. And, don't do this. It's not saying go treat your dogs but anyway, there are vets that do this. So, I just wanted to see what would happen. We used a person as a surrogate because the dog's not going to hold its paw for you to test it. But words are vibrations. It works on dogs, cats. People don't speak English because everything has a vibration and a frequency. People know if someone's not happy with you, they can speak Spanish and they're not happy with you. So, or if they're happy with you, that too. So we're able to, through this, that's okay, and the interpreter, if you will, find out that the dog had a few issues. And we treated the dog doing the same thing that we had to put a hand on the dog's forehead, held it over the organs that were involved, and then we tapped on the dog's spine. And no shit, this dog ran up the stairs after we did the third one. And we're all looking at each other going, holy, you know what? So that was the day I knew that this was magic, that it was really magic, because at the end of the day, the most skeptical scientist is still going to say, if you did anything to influence the test from a quantum physics standpoint by suggesting something good could happen, they could will it. And I'm like, not 10,000 times. But the dog was cool.
That's incredible. Man, that's far out. I'm curious, rewinding the clock back to when you first learned it. And somebody did this for you. This Scott, I think his name was?
Scott Walker.
Scott Walker. What happened for you? You went into this NET process and he went and found all your peccadillos and just stripped you down. What were you being held back on? Because here you are at the very tail end of something that takes a bunch of grit and intelligence to make it through. So you're not somebody who's performing at a low level at that point. You are crushing it and you are getting through and completing all the things that you need to. But what was in your way? And how was it overcoming that at that time in your life?
Well, that was great. There's been a lot of steps along the way of different barriers, as it's like the infinite artichoke as you peel it. But the first one was really a somatic thing. Basically, I had a spot between my shoulder blades that was hurt all the time. I would see chiropractors, they would adjust it, it would come back. I didn't know what it was. And it led to like this muscle being weak in my shoulder blades, one of my rotator cuff muscles. So, I was the example, I think, for a physical issue. And so you wanted to show that you can affect a physical issue by clearing out an emotion. And really, that's what we did. So it went out. It was related to my gallbladder. I would always I was probably addicted to French fries at that time. I was not the health person that I am today. And I was 25 years old when I first saw this. And French fries was a staple. I think it was my favorite vegetable. But these are like seed oils that everybody knows that are fried and rancid today that really just create sludge in your gallbladder. And when you have a gallbladder that's sludge, you always have chronic pain between your shoulder blades. And so, but in this case, he lifted something else off. And so every organ has different emotions related to it. In your gallbladder, you have things like resentment, frustration, anger, aggression. And so what happened was he traced out this event. I think it went back to like 5 years old. I had neighbors that were criminals and they were bullies. They were just, I could never play outside without feeling like I was going to get terrorized. This was back in New York. And so that was a traumatic situation for me. I had a lot of resentment for how I did not have the freedom to even enjoy. Like if the ball went on their yard, you can keep the ball, So, but he cleared that out. I mean, I still ate the French fries, but the pain between my shoulder blades was gone. Now, I'm not saying caveat, you should probably all skip some French fries, but a good duck fat French fries with truffle, pretty great. Still say yes to that.
Wow. So the pain, and I do jujitsu. I'm a jujitsu coach.
Absolutely.
I have this scapular muscle like right on the top, and I feel like anybody sitting at a computer as well has this little knot in the back of their between their shoulder blade and their spine.
Yeah.
Was it that spot for you that was tight, or was it something
Lower
different?
than that one. The one that you're on is like it's an epicenter of like four different things right there. Your lung circuits are there. It's a common rib head that gets subluxated when you do jujitsu. I see a lot of like UFC guys, a lot of jujitsu guys, and it's just a different thing. Usually it's the overbent wrist, or the tapped out neck or the subluxated neck or things like that. But there's a lot of clavicle, scapula, sternum, and first rib, let's say what they call subluxations, where they're just out of place a little. Now, if there's an emotional tape that's going over and over again, your lung circuit goes in there, your liver one goes through there a little bit. The gallbladder one would affect it indirectly. So we would, like, in a minute, know what it is, identify it, and remove it. It could be a physical thing, a nutritional thing, an emotional thing. So these things are in an instant. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you have an incredible career, and this part of your practice, which I know is just one part of it, is really interesting. And I hope that the word gets spread throughout the world, right? So that everybody is doing this. I remember I went to a chiropractor in Kansas City in 2000.
Yeah.
And he had me hold out my arm, and he started doing all these like weird
Hand
finger things on my forehead. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, my arm dipped below, all the strength went out of my arm. And he goes, "Oh, you're low on iron." And I was like, "Shut up. Like, you don't know."
Yeah.
And he kept doing it. And he was on to the same stuff that you are. You guys are masters and healers. And I appreciate everything that you're doing for the world. Dr. Cohn, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, it's funny. I probably know that guy. Also, one real quick before I said here's something I never thought I happened in my lifetime. NET has been featured on Grey's Anatomy in multiple episodes and done correctly. There's been over 30 peer-reviewed studies, pre and post MRIs of the brain. So I had the same reaction you did. I thought it was crazy until I saw that it's mainstream already. But they can find me at the Cohn Health Institute, CohnHealthInstitute.com, COHN, and then we have the Cohn Nutrition, which is worldwide. And then we have the Biostacking Summit, where we kind of show you all these doctors and brands and people and just like this around the world that you may not know exists to really kind of bring it into the homes of people around the globe.
Awesome. And a big, big shout out to the Biostacking Summit. We've got a ton of people that are going to be attending that. It's an incredible event with names that you want to hear from without question. What are the dates on that? When is the summit happening?
It's the second week in September. I know they're going to kill me. I think it's the 13th through the 19th, September 13th through the 19th. It's virtual, so anybody can chime in. The summit runs free, and then we have a VIP program you won't want to miss with tons and tons of free giveaways and really looks at all these speakers and people that are changing lives.
The link is below. Go and find it. Dr. Cohn, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been the Pulse Ox podcast. Please, if you found this episode valuable, give us a like on Spotify and share it with a friend.